worship experience. We are creating a global community of believers who meet together worldwide to be inspired, equipped, and encouraged with their faith. And the best part about it is you can do it anytime, anywhere. The purpose of online groups is building community while growing your Christian faith. Online groups watch video-based Bible teaching and discuss what they're learning from the comfort of their own homes. During the week between meetings, group members can dive deeper into the topic in preparation for the next meeting. It's simple, easy, and impactful. So grab a coffee, a Bible, and your device of choice, and let's get ready to learn more about God and His Word together. Looking for a group? Head to the CC Live Facebook page now to find the one that's right for you.
Are you on Spotify? If so, be sure to check out our worship playlists by searching for the playlist name, Worship at Christ's Church.
Giving online couldn't be any easier. To give, go to ourchristchurch.com. Click on the Give link. On the Giving page, click on Give from Bank Account. Next, click on the link to PushPay. On this page, you can set up your one-time gift or set up a recurring gift. You can also make a gift by simply texting CC Mason to 77977. Click on the link you receive. Next, fill out your information and submit your gift.
We all need community. Connection. One of the most unique elements of CC Live is that it is more than just a once-a-week worship experience. We are creating a global community of believers who meet together worldwide to be inspired, equipped, and encouraged with their faith. And the best part about it is you can do it anytime, anywhere. The purpose of online groups is building community while growing your Christian faith. Online groups watch video-based Bible teaching and discuss what they're learning from the comfort of their own homes. During the week between meetings, group members can dive deeper into the topic in preparation for the next meeting. It's simple, easy, and impactful. So grab a coffee, a Bible, and your device of choice, and let's get ready to learn more about God and His Word together. Looking for a group? Head to the CC Live Facebook page now to find the one that's right for you.
Are you on Spotify? If so, be sure to check out our worship playlists by searching for the playlist name, Worship at Christ's Church.
Giving online couldn't be any easier. To give, go to ourchristchurch.com. Click on the Give link. On the Giving page, click on Give from Bank Account. Next, click on the link to PushPay. On this page, you can set up your one-time gift or set up a recurring gift. You can also make a gift by simply texting CC Mason to 77977. Click on the link you receive. Next, fill out your information and submit your gift.
We all need community. Connection. One of the most unique elements of CC Live is that it is more than just a once-a-week worship experience. We are creating a global community of believers who meet together worldwide to be inspired, equipped, and encouraged with their faith. And the best part about it is you can do it anytime, anywhere. The purpose of online groups is building community while growing your Christian faith. Online groups watch video-based
Giving online couldn't be any easier. To give, go to ourchristchurch.com. Click on the Give link. On the giving page, click on Give from Bank Account. Next, click on the link to PushPay. On this page, you can set up your one-time gift or set up a recurring gift. You can also make a gift by simply texting CC Mason to 77977. Click on the link you receive. Next, fill out your information and submit your gift. Giving online couldn't be any easier. To give, go to ourchristchurch.com. Click on the Give link. On the giving page, click on Give from Bank Account. Next, click on the link to PushPay. On this page, you can set up your one-time gift or set up a recurring gift. You can also make a gift by simply texting CC Mason to 77977. Click on the link you receive. Next, fill out your information and submit your gift.
We all need community. Connection. One of the most unique elements of CC Live is that it is more than just a once-a-week worship experience. We are creating a global community of believers who meet together worldwide to be inspired, equipped, and encouraged with their faith. And the best part about it is you can do it anytime, anywhere. The purpose of online groups is building community while growing your Christian faith. Online groups watch video-based Bible teaching and discuss what they're learning from the comfort of their own homes. During the week between meetings, group members can dive deeper into the topic in preparation for the next meeting. It's simple, easy, and impactful. So grab a coffee, a Bible, and your device of choice, and let's get ready to learn more about God and His Word together. Looking for a group? Head to the CC Live Facebook page now to find the one that's right for you.
Are you ready to experience a meaningful time of praise and worship? Are you ready to engage in prayer and powerful Bible teaching? Then welcome to CC Live, which starts right now.
So I grew up in Martinsville, Ohio, on a farm, and my mom and dad are both Christians. Grew up in a Christian family. My mom came from a family where, very conservative, very strict as far as her faith. Her mom, she would always talk about her mom getting her ready in the morning, and they always had to be perfect, always put together. My dad did not come from a Christian family, but later their family became Christian. But that's kind of my background. I came from that and was taught as a small child about Jesus. I have 4 biological siblings and 4 adopted siblings. They were adopted from Haiti, and they were adopted later in life. So I was about 17 when they actually came. But so we have 8 kiddos. I'm one of 8, and then my mom and dad. I loved Sundays. I loved going to church. I've always loved going to church. My family's very musical. We would sing a lot. we do lots of a cappella harmonies and things like that together. So I really loved it. I grew up singing, and yeah, once we would actually get to church, which we were known for being extremely late because, well, we have a million children. But anyway, once we got there, it was really awesome. So although my family is a very good Christian family, no one would have anticipated anything that was going on in my life. Everybody thought that we were the perfect family, you know. But my mom and dad, their relationship struggled a lot. Since then, they've been divorced. And so they actually divorced when I was in college. But there was also a lot of abuse in my house growing up, from lots of different kinds of abuse. And that made life difficult. So I've had to overcome lots of different kinds of things. But I had this one friend that she was actually a missionary. And we started going to this church that was actually closer to the home where we had recently moved. We were going to Martinsville Church of Christ. And she had just gotten off of the mission field and was there. And her name's Robin Myers. And her husband had come home. And they were kind of disappointed that they had to come home because there were some situations that kind of made it so that they needed to. But I honestly, I selfishly think that she came home for, God brought her home for me, because she was such a safe place. And she, gosh, I love her so much. She would take us to her house, and it was just always so peaceful. And she loved God. She has grace for everyone. I just saw Jesus so much in her, and I wanted to be just like her. And so, obviously, because I would see things at her house, different things from all over the world, I thought it was so neat. And she would just tell me about different missions and missionaries. And she invested in me and took me to missions camps and would take me to the missionary convention. And she just invested in me. And I grew a love for missions around that time and for the global church. And that kind of helped guide me in that way. That safety, that spiritual just giant kind of guided me to this, this passion and this love that I feel like God put on my heart. Actually, Robin was the one that told me about Ozark Christian College, which is where I would end up going. When I got there, I had some more counseling. And I realized that what had happened was not okay and was not normal. But it wasn't until then that I didn't think that every family was that way. I've grown up with there's lots of mental health in my family, and mental health issues. I grew up and lots of my family needed that kind of aid in their life, so I kind of knew what that looked like. And it was probably when I was 12 years old that I remember sitting in my room, in the corner of my room, and just being terrified and not really knowing what to do, feeling a darkness and just that depression and not wanting to live. I went to the doctor about it, and that was kind of hushed up. So I wasn't really allowed to share about those kinds of things because it kind of showed vulnerability to our family. And so I had to be happy Haylee all the time, and that became a facade. It was really hard to mask how I really felt, so I just became really good at it.
I grew up, in a Christian home. My dad, I believe it was at Hillsboro Family Camp in Hillsboro, Ohio, accepted the call to ministry. It was during that time when he was finishing up school and he had his first church that I was born. And honestly, as a kid, we kind of moved around a lot until I hit junior high. We kind of moved around every 3 to 5 years. Most of the time it was on okay terms, but there were a couple times it just, in ministry, it's hard. And so there are moments where the church can be an ugly thing, and so there were times where we would move and it was hard. Outside of that though, I had just a great childhood, very strong Christian parents. My dad every night would pray with us. Every morning he would sit with us and read the Bible to us, or help us to learn what that looked like to have a daily devotion. My parents, as far as I knew, from what I could tell, had a great marriage. They had a great relationship, great example to me and my older brother. But other than moving around, life was pretty good as a kid. And then once we moved to Ohio, to Adams County, my dad was on staff for about a year and a half, and that's when things started to change. He got sick and one fall, and we thought it was just pneumonia, or not even pneumonia, we just thought it was a cold, but he had it for like 3 months. His cough just wouldn't go away. He'd go to the doctor and they would like send him home or whatever. And it wasn't super alarming at first. It was the fall time. People get sick when it starts to get cold outside. But after about 3 months, they're like, we need to go get this checked out and see what this is about. And I remember coming home from school one day, and Mom was home, and my mom worked outside of the home, and she wasn't home usually when I got home from school. And I was like, why is Mom home today? It's weird. And I walk in the door, and Mom and Dad are sitting at the kitchen table, and they call me and my brother in, and they say, my dad's like, boys, we need to talk to you. And my mom just starts crying, and I'm like, oh gosh, like what's going on? And they told us that Dad had, they found out Dad had cancer. Like I actually remember calling my best friend that I had moved away from, because only a year and a half later, and telling him, just talking to him about it. And we're young, so we ask very blunt questions. Or I was only 11, 12 years old, and he's like, well, do you think your dad's gonna die? Like, we're just cancer, like that's what you think, you're a little kid. I'm like, oh no, that's my dad. He's gonna be fine. Dad's gonna be fine. Within a year, it had progressed to the point where he was gonna have to get his kidney removed. During that time, he had to make trips up to the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's where the surgery took place. I believe, I could be wrong about this. I know we spent Christmas there that year, but I think his surgery was like right around Christmas Eve. It was hard. It got to the point where Dad was getting sick enough to where Mom had to stay home. She couldn't go to work because Dad needed assistance. Luckily, she's blessed. She still works at the same place even today, but they still took care of her and paid her through that whole process. But she was home for a long time. After the surgery, it was removed. His kidney was. Then they just kind of monitoring it, and long story short, the cancer just didn't go away and didn't get better. And on January 2nd, 2005, my dad passed away from cancer, and that was devastating. At that point, it got real hard for my mom. We lived in Adams County. She worked here in Cincinnati. She drove about 75 miles one way to work every day. We would get up for school, give Mom a kiss bye. She would go to work. We'd ride the bus to school. We'd get home. She'd get home 5 or 6, depending on work. And that was life until I graduated high school. My mom, amazing woman. She's like the reason my brother and I are here doing what we're doing. Like without her, we wouldn't have survived those years for sure. So it's weird when you lose someone, it takes a long time for you to realize when you hear the phone ring or you hear the doorbell or that it's not them. It took a long time for me to really realize that he was gone. And I think it wasn't until I graduated high school and really whenever I got out on my own, I lived some life on my own. That's when I really started to process and work through like just even some anger. Like I was angry at God. I wrestled with that for a long time, but now being on this side of it, there are so many things that I can point to and see that God has made beautiful out of it.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you, only Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, Lord. To you only, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. Pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, Lord. To you only, Lord.
I love Ozark Christian College. It is what shaped me. It's what shaped my brother. It's what shaped my husband. I just fell in love with missions and what God was doing, and I fell in love with studying Scripture and seeing Scripture in some ways for the first time as not a weapon. I had seen, God as the Almighty God. I hadn't seen him as my loving Father so much. And it was there that I just started to grow my faith and and my love for missions. At that time, it wasn't necessarily ministry in general, it was for missions. I wanted to live cross-culturally, and I wanted to go and spread the gospel to people who had never heard of Christ before. After my freshman year of college, I'd moved 12 hours away to Joplin, Missouri to go to Ozark Christian College. So it was summertime and it's time for me to go back home, and I didn't necessarily want to move back in with my parents. I decided to try to find a job for the summer, and so that's when one of the elders at my church recommended that I go to Butler Springs Christian Camp. The first day I was there, I made it very known to everybody that I wasn't looking to be in any kind of relationship, and I just didn't really care about that kind of stuff. And honestly, the first time I met Matt, this is a funny story, we were all like sitting in a circle kind of introducing ourselves and, you know, the whole camp thing. And the first time I met Matt, he was like super like Eeyore down in the dumps about everything. It was like he was droning on and on about his woes in life. Just about, yeah, things haven't really worked out, so just feel like God called me back here again, and so that's kind of why I'm here this summer, blah, blah. And my first impression of Matt ever was, wow, this guy's enthusiastic. Like, that was my first impression. And so yeah, it shows how much mature a guy is. So no, but then as the week went on, I start seeing him like, you know, leading, and him like just his heart and how kind he is and gentle. And so yeah, what a wonderful man he was. So at the time, Matt was engaged. Actually, it's funny how I found out, because I started to like Matt against my will. I was like, no, I will not like anyone. I'm getting through college first and not distracted. I'm moving to the mission field. Don't need any distractions. It's funny, we started leading worship together. They put us together, and we would be around many campfires every night doing different things, like just, you know, singing different songs and leading others in devotions and things. And we very quickly found out that our voices blended, and we just, you know, it was a fairy tale. Then after like a month of knowing him and I start to like him, one of my friends said, "Isn't Matt such a nice guy?" And I said, "Yes, I think that he's such a good guy." And she's like, "Yeah, I bet his fiance is just really happy to be with him." And I said, "Oh, he's engaged?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. She's really lucky." Crap, you know. But yeah, things were not going so well with that relationship, and it actually ended on its own before anything ever happened between he and I. But by the end of that summer, though, we started pursuing our relationship.
So for college, I struggled for a while with the decision of where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. Because of growing up in a preacher's home, I didn't want to be in ministry in the church. And it's hilarious that that's what I'm doing now. But I didn't want that life. When I had a family, I didn't want to have to do that to them, experience what they had to experience. People just don't know, and they assume it's much easier than what it is, and it's not. It's just not. And I didn't want that. But in high school, I became very, very involved with soccer. To a very unhealthy level, almost like that became my identity, and I wasn't that good. That's the thing. I had an opportunity to play at Cincinnati Christian University, which is hilarious now because the school's closed, and but to me that was the biggest deal. Like I get to play college soccer, like this is cool. And so I decided I went to CCU for a year. I wasn't there for ministry. I was I think I got a general education major. I don't even remember the major. It was dumb. I was just there to play soccer. I got hurt, and I was unable to play like 2 months into it. And so then I just this is stupid. Like I skipped class. I didn't do any of that stuff. And eventually it was like, I don't want to go to this college anymore. It was hard. I mean, yeah, not having my father there to guide and direct me and to help me in those ways were really difficult for me. The thing that made the biggest impact for me in those moments of not having my father was Butler Springs Christian Camp. The summer after Dad died, I had an opportunity to go just volunteer a week. And if you volunteered a week, then you had your week paid for. And I went, and the first couple days, I didn't know what to think of it, but by the end of the week, I loved it. And I actually asked the director, Keith Warner, if I could stay for another week. And he's like, sure. And so I did another week. And then after the end of that week, I said, hey, could I come back one more week? And week after week, I spent like 8 weeks almost there that summer. And then the next year, the next 7 summers, that was my summer, and I worked there. And the men on staff there poured themselves into me, loved on me. That's really where I found a time and a place to wrestle through some of that. I still was angry with God. I didn't understand for a long time, again, why he would take my father, but it was those men who kind of kept me from going off the deep end ultimately. I worked there from 2005, 2012, every single summer. So that summer I was trying to decide what I was gonna do, and then I knew I had a decent part-time job, and so if I went to Butler Springs, I was gonna lose that job, and then at the end of the summer, I didn't know what I was gonna do, where I was gonna go. I was still involved in church even after my dad passed. I was really involved with music and worship, and I helped lead worship, but that was never on my horizon. It's like, that's what I wanna be or do someday. But for whatever reason, that summer, I actually got to go 2 or 3 weeks early before the rest of the staff got there, and it literally was just me and the full-time staff. But every day I would go work 8 hours by myself out in the woods doing different projects for the camp, and I had time to really spend some time just with Jesus. And I felt I felt a calling to go into ministry. And my student minister growing up went to Ozark Christian College. And he had told me, he's like, man, if you're truly considering going into ministry, you should check out Ozark Christian College. Like a few weeks later, I remember the day, it was May 22nd, 2011. I met Haylee at Butler Springs. She came to work there that summer. And when she got there, we're just making small talk, and everyone's introducing themselves to everyone. And when it got to her, and she's like, I'll be a sophomore at Ozark Christian College, like, my jaw hit the floor, because I was like, what? I was like, you go to Ozark Christian College? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, the one where Mark Moore is the professor at, right? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, in Joplin, Missouri? She said, yeah. And I'm like, no way. Like, I'm considering going there. By the end of the summer, I knew well, not even by the end of the summer, halfway through the summer, I was like, oh, Haylee goes there. I could probably make this work. I like this school after all, so decided to pursue that and go there. The day I met Haylee, a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually engaged. It was an unhealthy, very unhealthy relationship. I dated a girl for about 4.5 years. When you date someone for as long as we had, it was like, all right, what's next? Like, engagement is next. And we had friends that had gotten married at this point and were engaged, and so it just, honestly, like, we got engaged because it was like the next thing to do. By the beginning of the summer, when I decided I'm going to pursue ministry, the person I was dating was not happy about that, because that meant I was going to be leaving, possibly moving to a new area. So we had some pretty serious conversations, and I had come to the decision that I was going to break things off with her. And funny story, Haylee was, when she found out that I was engaged and I was going through all this, she encouraged me to continue to still date this girl and to marry her and to stay together with her. And so it's so funny to think about that now, that we're together. But we broke the engagement off like the second or third week of that summer. It was funny because when I broke things off with the previous girlfriend, I literally, I didn't want to go through that again. I was done for a long time. I really felt like that. I wasn't like, I'm breaking this off so I can go date Haylee. That was never the intention. I just was done. I was like, I'm gonna spend the next 2 years, no girls. I dated a girl for 4 years. I'm gonna take a break. And no matter what I did, like, I was so attracted to her, even just her spirituality, like who she was as a person, as a daughter of Jesus. Like, it was so attractive to me to see how she interacted and worshiped, and it, I don't know, I was very attracted to that. Once that attraction was mutual and it became evident, we said, we're not here to date. Like, we didn't come to Butler Springs to be in a relationship. So we're like, we're not gonna date while camp's going on at all. We're gonna make sure of that. And then, like, literally the next day after camp ended, we started dating. And then we moved back to Joplin and went to Ozark Christian College together.
took our pain, for our suffering and all our shame. For our sin, a man was slain. Yeah, like sheep, we've gone astray. Like a lamb unto his shepherd's feet, nothing awakened from the Savior's feet. Into darkness plunged our victory.
No guilt to bear, no death we're free.
Savior, King, you're all I need. For your name I'll gladly plead. At your cross I'll bow my knees and worship. God of glory, Lord of all, paid our ransom on a cross. Into darkness inward call. Wherever you reign, wherever you reign,
And he
we'll see the light of life that day, and be satisfied with all he's paid.
We'll give honor to the God who saved. No guilt to bear, no death we're free.
Savior, King, you're all I need. For your name I'll gladly plead. At your cross I'll bow my knees and worship. God of glory, Lord of all, paid our ransom on a cross. Into darkness inward crawl. Wherever you reign, wherever you reign.
All we need is your rescue from within. All we need is your rescue from within. All we need is your rescue from within. All we need is your rescue from within.
Savior, King, you're all I need. For your name I'll gladly plead.
At the cross I'll bow my knees and worship.
God of glory, Lord of all, paid our ransom on a cross.
Into darkness
Inward call.
wherever you reign,
Wherever you reign. Savior, King, you're all I need. For your name I'll gladly plead.
at your cross I'll bow my
knees and worship. God of glory, Lord of all, paid our ransom on a cross. Into darkness inward crawl. Wherever you reign, wherever you reign.
All we need is your rescue from within. All we need is your rescue from within. All we need is
after we got married, at first we kind of volunteered a little bit at some churches and stuff, but we really weren't like super involved in ministry like on a regular basis. It was just hit and miss.
We worked at the cafeteria.
Yeah, we worked we literally each worked 20 hours a week at the cafeteria, and we said this makes up our one full-time job. We each work our 20 hours and we'll survive. And I don't know how we did, but we did survive. We had led worship in the chapel for the school a few times. And the worship professor at the school, we just passed him in the hallway one day, and he like stopped us and, hey, how you guys doing? First 6 months of marriage, just making small talk. And he goes, where are you guys serving at? And we're like, here and there, we'll volunteer and fill in worship lead at different places, but like we're just working in the cafeteria right now. And he goes, well, there's a church. He said, it's 100 miles away, but there's a church that is looking for a worship leader part-time if you guys would be interested. I had led worship, but I was never like the worship leader, and that really wasn't in our idea of what we were going to do whatsoever. The plan was to finish school, go in the mission field, all this stuff. Well, for whatever reason, like the next week and a half, that's all I could think about. And so I gave him a call, the church, and I was like one of like 6 different people I think they were interviewing, and I thought there's no way that they would, like, all these other qualified, experienced, whatever, they're not going to want us. But they called us, and we went out for like a trial run type thing just to see what it would be like for us, if we would be interested once we went out there, and if they would be interested in us. And we did that maybe twice, 2 or 3 times. And then they called one day and offered me the position and us to come and do that. I kind of felt like this was God giving us an opportunity to still be a part of ministry, do something for a while. And then the goal, honestly, was to finish school, do that, and then go on the mission field.
I loved being married. I truly looked to Matt. Matt's a wonderful leader, and he was always very good to me and always provided very well for me. But there was the past issues that were starting to come up. I don't think Matt knew to the degree like how bad things were. And so when lots of my depression and anxiety started to show themselves, and when some of the pains and things kind of started to come up, it started to become a little bit ugly. So I remember I was in class one day, and one of our professors said, you shouldn't take past problems with you on the mission field because they're magnified, or even in ministry, they get magnified. You need to deal with them right now. And if Satan is trying to convince you that your problem is not as bad as someone else's, or that it's not worth going and talking to somebody about, do something before he convinces you of that. And I can't tell you how many times Satan tried to convince me of that. It's not as bad as what I'm thinking it is. I'm just acting like a baby about it. Like, I can handle this by myself. But it was then that I realized I do need to pursue right now, before I lose my nerve, getting some help. And so I sent my professor a message, and we started going to marriage counseling the very first year.
And Trevor says this all the time, but marriage counseling is like going to the dentist. It's better when it's preventative and not, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's way better to go ahead of time. It was funny because I was a very supportive husband, and I'm like, yeah, sweetheart, we'll go there for your problems, and I'll be there, and I'll be there to hold your hand and support you. And we get there, and he looks at me and he goes, we're not gonna be able to help Haylee until we help you. And I'm like, you don't know me. Like, what do you mean? And like, until you're in a healthy place, you're not gonna be able to help your wife be in a healthy place. And so then basically almost kind of what we're doing, I just told him my story, and holy moly, man, like, he big time helped me work through some stuff, especially with my dad and losing him and things. And I did get to a point after quite a few sessions where I was like, okay, and like I was able to kind of be at a place where I could really help her, and I didn't even know I needed that, and it was huge.
And truly, I wouldn't have been able to get through counseling had Matt not been able to like encourage me to keep going, because it's painful at first, but then you have relief. There was one session that I told Matt, I said, I can't go back. This is just, I can't do this. And Matt said, just go one more time. You never know. And I think that was Satan, because the next session I went to, I had the biggest breakthrough ever. And Satan knew that was going to happen. I had to work through a lot of different things, but I received forgiveness through that. I love my family, and I love my parents. I love my siblings. They're wonderful people. But, you know, I think that lots of times we hide behind. We try to pretend we're healthy for everybody else to see instead of just being honest and dealing with our problems and moving on.
So we lived in Joplin. First off, just to give you a little perspective, the church was 100 miles away. And twice a week, I would drive from Joplin to there. So 200 miles every Sunday and every Wednesday. Thursdays were the worst day ever.
Because we had to go to class in the morning.
And we had rehearsal every single Wednesday. We wouldn't get home till, at least midnight most
7 a.m.
Wednesdays.
classes.
The strain ministry can put on you really wore on us, even in school. Like, it was dumb that it was hard, but it was hard for us to finish school because I'm like, well, I don't need to go to school. Like, I'm in ministry. We finished school and got our degrees, but there were moments where it was really, really hard. So we did that for a few years, graduated. The goal, once again, for the longest time was still to pursue overseas missions. And we were gonna go when God opened that door. But before that, no direction had been set, really. We didn't feel like God leading us in any way. But for her degree, we had to go overseas. So we went to Poland for 3 months. So stopped everything we're doing here in Missouri, hopped on a plane. Love the experience. It was great for us.
Polish Christian Ministries is amazing.
It was we did worship ministry there at some churches, and kind of split it up. We were there over the 12 weeks we were there. But then came back, graduated, moved to Marshfield, and then during that time, I think, is when things started to get real difficult for us in our marriage and ministry. I took on a lot more than what I initially signed up to do. I was a worship leader, but then I also took on some administrative roles. I took on the student ministry role, and it wasn't a church nearly the size of Christ Church, but it was a big enough church to where doing all of that was a strain. During this time, we were starting to feel like we were getting close to ready to start a family and have a family. Haylee did get pregnant, and the day we found out was really cool. We were on a trip to go to Hawaii, and then that morning she surprised me. Like, we were getting ready to hop on the plane and go, and we were just thrilled. We had been married for 5 years. We felt like we were ready, all this stuff. And get home from Hawaii, and within a month, we found out that there were some complications, and then we had gone through a miscarriage during that time. That was super, super, super hard for us, both of us, especially her. To my own fault, probably buried myself more into ministry, trying to deal with it, but also felt like I had this responsibility that I had to take care of. It was around Christmas time. It was between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had a lot that it's church. I have all these things to prepare for, and I really didn't take the time to take care of her and love on her like I needed to. Through that, there was a lot of things that we struggled with, but within a year, we also kind of felt like God was starting to call us in a new direction. We didn't know where or what that looked like. And not that it means we're leaving ministry, but it might mean that we're not going to be here in Missouri much longer.
We both individually started feeling this stirring, and then when we talked about it, we just were like, oh wow, maybe God's saying something about.
In January of 2018, I got a call from Butler Springs Christian Camp, which was hilarious because for years they would call every once in a while and say, hey, like, if we had a job position, would you and Haylee ever consider moving back? But for the first time, for whatever reason, she was like, yeah, I could see us doing that. And I was like, what? Like, I was shocked. And even for the longest time for me, we felt called to Hillside for the longest time. But for whatever reason, both of us at that specific moment were like, you know what, maybe we could see ourselves doing this. Haylee was pregnant with our second child at this point, Asa, and he was born and okay and is crazy and hilarious now. But so we decided in January when we were offered the job, we accepted the position a few weeks later. Haylee was already pregnant. We wanted to make sure he was born with a doctor that everything was already set up with. So we stayed in Missouri until he was born. So he was born on May 10th. And then literally 10 days later is when we packed things up and moved back to Ohio.
And I was in the hospital extra too because
Yeah, there was.
we had lots of complications.
Yeah, he was born May 10th. She was home for maybe 2 days.
Went back to the hospital.
Had a infection. Had to go to the hospital for a week, and then came
Went
home
home for 2 days and left.
Yeah, it was crazy. So about the Springs, when I came there, my job title was program director, but that really lends itself more just to the summer. It's a Christian youth camp, so lots of activities, stuff. So ropes course, zip line, they have a pool, all these different activities. So I helped train the staff, the summer staff, on how to run those things, but then also would schedule them out and schedule the camps and how all that works. I was thrilled. Like, this was like a dream for me, where I grew up. These guys poured themselves into me, loved me, helped shape me. Like, literally, I thought, this is gonna be the next 30 years. Like, we're gonna retire from here. This is gonna be great. But when we moved there, there are so many challenges, it's not even funny, and it's not because of anything Butler Springs did at all, but like on the way to the camp, our car blew up, like moving from Missouri. So like the first week we're here, we're like looking for a new car, which is stressful. Our son is 2 weeks old.
We had to walk on the highway.
We did.
Our family had to come meet us and
It
take
was
all
crazy,
our stuff.
crazy.
And the next day, we went to Christ Church.
We did though. Yeah, we got here
And
on
I
a
saw,
Saturday.
and Katie Davis, I'll never forget. She was the sweetest person, and I don't know. There's something about her. She sought me out to see if I was okay and just was super friendly and sweet.
When we lived at Butler Springs, we just loved Christ Church so much. We would visit here for years on the holidays because my parents attended here. But we wanted to be a part of this church. We had followed it for years. Just we're very excited about the opportunity. But it was an hour and a half away from Butler Springs, and it was really hard for us for a long time.
Yeah, we originally determined that it's just not gonna work out.
Asa was so little, he would scream the whole way here. It was like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
And our son.
But after our first summer, he got a little older, got a little easier, started to sleep on the car ride. It was the one time a week where I wasn't doing something away from her. We were in a car, he was asleep, we could actually have a conversation. So it turned into a huge blessing. But we decided that fall to start attending here on a regular basis, even though we lived at Butler Springs, and immediately got involved in the worship ministry. And it was funny because there was something when we started at Butler Springs and left ministry at Hillside, there was something in us that we left in Missouri that kind of died inside of us, and we didn't know it until we started back into it. And when we really started getting involved in the worship and arts ministry here at the church,
We felt like ourselves again.
we did, and it brought some healing to something that we didn't even know was broken. Like, there were some issues with just life in general, and had nothing to do with Butler Springs. Wonderful place, but we were really struggling with the transition. It's so funny when you tell God that you're not going to do something. But I remember as a kid telling him I was never going to work at a church. But when I left Hillside and started a different kind of ministry, we went from, when we worked at Hillside, we did everything together ministry-wise. And then when I went to Butler Springs, it was like, good morning, I'll see you in 10 hours. And we missed that, and there was just something that we missed desperately about being part of the local church thriving. And we desperately missed that. And the way that we were able to have that fulfilled in us was to travel an hour and a half multiple times a week because we would come to rehearsal. Yeah, I remember getting up early on purpose to go to work so I could leave early to get here on time for a rehearsal, because that's how much we cared and we loved it so much.
We just knew at that point, we're like, we're called to this. Like,
and I felt it was scary because I moved. I stopped doing that in Missouri. I moved my entire family, my brand new son, across the country, made my wife say goodbye to friends. I did exactly what my dad did to me all over again. And it was scary because I was like, I don't know if I am where I'm supposed to be.
On the day when I see all that you have for me, when I see you face to face, there surrounded by your grace, all my fears swept away in the light of your embrace, where your love is all I need, and forever I am free, where the streets are made of gold. I'm forever healed and whole. Let the songs of heaven rise to you alone. No weeping, no hurt or pain, no suffering. You hold me now, you hold me now. No darkness, no sick or lame, no hiding. You hold me now, you hold me now. In this life, finally stand through my joy and my pain, knowing there's a greater day. There's a hope that never fails when your name is lifted high, and forever praises rise for the glory of your name. I'll be living for the day where the wars of violence cease, all creation lives in peace. Let the songs of heaven rise to you alone. No weeping, no hurt or pain, no suffering. You hold me now, you hold me now. No darkness, no sick or lame, no hiding. You hold me now, you hold me now. For eternity, all my heart will give, all the glory to your name. For eternity, all my heart will give, all the glory
I didn't realize I needed a community to surround me, that I needed accountability and people to watch my blind spots and to really mentor me and nurture me until I didn't have that, until I was isolated and depressed and alone and dealing with a baby by myself. I mean, him being kind of out of the equation and me having to rely on, honestly, women from far away through Marco Polo telling me how to be a mom, guiding me in ways because I was dealing with this very difficult baby. I mean, ministry life it feeds us. It brings us together. It is the center of our marriage. It's everything. It's like we need it to make us work because it's putting Jesus at the center of it all.
As high of moments there are low, if not lower moments in ministry for sure. And it affects, as someone in ministry, it affects everyone in your family. When you're in ministry vocationally, you no matter what anyone says, you just don't have a day off. You really don't. You can set boundaries, and that's great, and it's important. And I'm not like saying that can't happen or that's not real or anything. You can set boundaries, and you can turn the phone off and not get that email that talks about this person's in the hospital or this person needs you to pray with them or walk them through the situation. But the moment you turn the phone back on, that email is waiting on you. It is literally constantly something that you have to pour yourself into. But at the end of the day, what we have found is that there's nothing else that we would rather do or rather be a part of. That experience at Butler Springs, it made me see what we're called to, at least at this moment in our lives, what we were created to do.
Yeah.
When we were in college, I remember our professor talking about like any big decision, like if you're going to go this way or this way, pray about it, read scripture, and then talk to your community, because those people are the people that know you best and help influence those decisions. And I think for us, when we were in those moments of like, what are we doing? Are we called here? Should we be doing this? The biggest thing that was like eye-opening for us and reassuring was our community that we had established here saw things in us that either sometimes we knew them, sometimes they saw things in us we didn't realize that we even had or who we were, and that helped solidify that, hey, God has created you for this. It helps keep me where I need to be and doing what I need to be doing. It helps me make those kind of decisions.
Yeah, I'll never forget when the worship group came out to Butler Springs, and Joey comes and talks to me and says, do you think that Matt's using his full potential and like his gifts and abilities? And I was like, don't ask me that. Like, but it was a revealing moment, because it was being transparent that, man, we are not doing what we are called to do.
And I want us and others who might hear this to not think that going to Butler Springs was a mistake, but God, just like I can see with my dad's death and just different situations, God takes you through things and brings you to situations, brings you to places, jobs, scenarios that are going to ultimately lead you to where he wants you to be, and he's going to use situations, ugly situations, and make them beautiful. Going through fire is painful. The end result is so much more beautiful than if you would have just coasted through.
We believe that good has won. And all of the people of God sing along. Amen. We are free. He died and lives again. We will be a people free from sin. We'll be free, a kingdom with no end. And all of the people of God sing along in Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. We're singing, Amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation,